Sarah and Ben, a young couple, stood in their cramped one-bedroom apartment, scrolling through real estate listings. Friends were buying homes, posting glossy photos of backyard BBQs and nursery renovations. Rent is just dead money, Ben would sigh, feeling the pressure. Sarah worried about the enormous down payment, the fluctuating interest rates, and the commitment. They felt stuck, caught in a swirling vortex of well-meaning advice, conflicting headlines, and a fundamental misunderstanding of what truly constitutes a smart financial move. This isn't just their story, it's a financial dilemma millions face every day. And the stakes are incredibly high. Welcome. Today, we're cutting through the noise to expose the 10 most costly mistakes people make when deciding whether to rent or buy. This isn't about telling you which one is better, it's about giving you the tools to understand your unique situation and avoid financial traps that could cost you tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. We'll strip away the jargon, look at surprising truths, and give you concrete examples that will transform how you view your housing choices. Get ready for an aha moment that redefines financial wisdom. Let's tackle the biggest misconception first, the idea that rent is dead money. This phrase, so often thrown around, implies that every dollar spent on rent is simply wasted, gone forever, unlike a mortgage payment which supposedly builds equity. This is an oversimplification that ignores the full financial picture. While rent doesn't build equity in a property, it offers flexibility and frees up capital. The mistake isn't renting, it's believing that rent has no financial value or opportunity cost. This mindset can lead to rushed, uninformed buying decisions. Instead of dead money, think of rent as a cost for housing and flexibility. The real mistake lies in not considering the opportunity cost. What could you do with the money you're not spending on a down payment, closing costs, property taxes, maintenance, and insurance if you were to buy? For instance, if you rent, your capital isn't tied up. You could invest the potential down payment in the stock market or other assets. Over time, these investments could outpace the equity you might build in a home, especially after factoring in all homeownership expenses. Just as buying has hidden costs, so does renting. Mistake number 2 is focusing solely on the monthly rent payment and ignoring other significant expenses that add up. These include utilities, electricity, gas, water, internet, which vary widely. Don't forget renter's insurance, a crucial but often overlooked cost that protects your belongings. While typically far less than homeowner's insurance, it's still part of your housing budget. Also, consider the cost of moving between rentals, which can be substantial with security deposits, moving truck rentals, and new setup fees. These aren't dead money but essential costs of your living arrangement. Let's put this into perspective. For an apartment with a base rent of $1,800, your actual monthly outlay could be significantly higher. When you add utilities like electricity, gas, water, and internet, plus a modest renter's insurance premium, you're looking at a substantial increase. This comparison isn't to discourage renting, but to highlight the importance of budgeting for your total housing expense, whether you rent or buy. Being aware of all these costs allows for a fairer comparison when you eventually weigh it against homeownership. Here's where many dreamers stumble, mistaking the mortgage payment for the total cost of homeownership. Mistake number 3 is failing to account for the multitude of expenses beyond principal and interest. When you own a home, you become responsible for property taxes, which are annual taxes levied by local governments based on your property's value. Then there's homeowner's insurance, which protects against damage and liability. These aren't optional, they're bundled into your monthly escrow payment, making your actual housing cost significantly higher than just the loan repayment. But wait, there's more. Beyond taxes and insurance, homeowners face potentially hefty maintenance and repair costs. A leaky roof, a broken furnace, or a burst pipe can easily run into thousands of dollars. Experts often advise budgeting 1 to 4% of your home's value annually for maintenance. If you're buying a condo or townhouse, you'll also likely pay homeowners association, or HOA, fees. These monthly fees cover common area maintenance, amenities, and sometimes utilities. Ignoring these costs can quickly drain your savings and turn the dream home into a financial nightmare. Before you even get the keys, there's another major financial hurdle: closing costs. Mistake number 4 is overlooking these significant upfront expenses. Closing costs are fees associated with the mortgage loan and the property transaction itself. They include things like loan origination fees, appraisal fees, title insurance, attorney fees, and recording fees. These costs can range anywhere from 2% to 5% of the loan amount, sometimes even more. For a $300,000 home, that could be an additional $6,000 to $15,000 paid out of pocket, on top of your down payment. Many first-time buyers are blindsided by this expense. Let's illustrate the impact of closing costs. Imagine you're buying a home for $300,000 with a 20% down payment. That's $60,000 upfront. But if your closing costs are 3% of the loan amount, which is $240,000, that's an additional $7,200. This brings your total cash required at closing to $67,200, not just $60,000. This hidden cost alone can derail carefully laid plans if not budgeted for. This is why understanding every line item is crucial before committing to homeownership. A common and costly blunder, mistake number 5, is buying a home with a short-term perspective. If you plan to move within a few years, renting might be the financially superior choice. The reason? Those significant transaction costs we just discussed, closing costs when you buy, and then additional costs like real estate agent commissions, staging, and closing costs when you sell. These expenses can easily eat up any equity you've built or appreciation your home has gained in a short period. Homeownership truly pays off over the long haul, typically 5 years or more. Let's compare. If you buy a $300,000 home and sell it 3 years later, even if it appreciates by a modest 2% per year, you're unlikely to break even after paying all the associated transaction costs. Buying closing costs are 2 to 5% of the loan, and selling costs, including real estate commissions, can be 5 to 6% of the sale price. That's potentially 7 to 11% of the home's value in fees alone. Unless the market experiences significant appreciation, a short ownership period often means a net financial loss, or at best, breaking even. Buying a home is often seen as a life milestone, deeply intertwined with emotions and societal expectations. Mistake number 5 is letting these emotions override sound financial judgment. The desire for a dream home, pressure from family or friends, or fear of missing out, FOMO, can lead people to buy properties they can't truly afford, or at times when it's not financially optimal. Remember Sarah and Ben's friends? Their perfect homes might hide significant financial strain. A home is an emotional sanctuary, but it's also the largest financial asset or liability many people will ever take on. Societal narratives often push home ownership as the ultimate sign of success and financial stability. This creates immense pressure, especially for younger generations who see rising prices and fear being priced out forever. This fear can drive impulsive decisions, leading people to waive contingencies, overbid, or stretch their budgets beyond reasonable limits. It's crucial to separate the emotional appeal of homeownership from the cold, hard financial realities. Your personal financial health should always take precedence over external expectations. Just like investing in stocks, timing matters in real estate. Mistake number 6 is ignoring current market conditions and economic cycles. Buying at the peak of a hot market, when prices are inflated and bidding wars are common, means you might be overpaying. Conversely, renting when interest rates are historically low might mean you're missing an opportunity to lock in a favorable mortgage. Interest rates directly impact your monthly payments and the total cost of your loan. A shift of even 1 to 2 percentage points can mean tens of thousands of dollars over the life of a loan. Let's use a tangible example: a $250,000 mortgage over 30 years. At a 3% interest rate, your principal and interest payment would be about $1,054 per month. But if interest rates climb to 5%, that same loan costs you $1,342 per month, a difference of nearly $300, or over $100,000 over the life of the loan. This dramatic difference highlights why understanding interest rate trends and their potential impact on your buying power is crucial. Renting offers flexibility to wait for more favorable buying conditions, rather than being forced into a high-rate mortgage. Owning a home isn't just about paying the mortgage, it's about being prepared for the unexpected. Mistake number 7 is entering homeownership without a robust emergency fund. As a renter, many major repairs are the landlord's responsibility. As a homeowner, you are the landlord. A broken water heater, a damaged roof, or a faulty HVAC system can cost thousands of dollars out of pocket, often at the worst possible time. Without an emergency fund, these inevitable expenses can quickly lead to debt, stress, and even foreclosure. Financial experts recommend at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. Consider Sarah and Ben's friends, Mark and Lisa. They bought their first home, drained their savings for the down payment and closing costs, and had no emergency fund left. 6 months later, their furnace died in the middle of winter. The repair bill? $4,500. They had to put it on a high-interest credit card, adding to their financial burden. This anecdote illustrates a critical point: homeownership requires financial resilience beyond just covering the monthly payment. An adequate emergency fund is not a luxury, it's a necessity for any homeowner. Housing isn't just a financial decision, it's a lifestyle choice. Mistake number 8 is ignoring how renting or buying impacts your life flexibility, career mobility, and personal freedom. Renting offers unparalleled flexibility. You can move for a new job, downsize, or try a new city without the immense cost and hassle of selling a home. Homeownership, while providing stability, can tether you. A sudden job offer in another state might become a financial headache if you can't sell your home quickly or without a loss. Your home should support your life, not constrain it. Think about it: if you own a home and need to move for a job, you're looking at potentially months of house showings, negotiations, and the aforementioned selling costs. You might even have to carry 2 mortgage payments if your old home doesn't sell quickly. This financial and emotional burden can be immense. For individuals early in their careers, or those who value travel and new experiences, the flexibility of renting might be a huge financial advantage, even if it means not building equity directly in real estate. The cost of inflexibility can be far greater than a hypothetical gain in property value. Many people conflate equity and appreciation, leading to flawed financial projections. Mistake number 9 is failing to understand the crucial difference between the two. Equity is the portion of your home that you actually own. It increases as you pay down your mortgage principal and decreases by any outstanding loan amount. Appreciation, on the other hand, is the increase in your property's market value over time, driven by external factors like location, demand, and economic growth. You build equity by making payments, but appreciation is a market gamble. While building equity through principal payments is a consistent process, relying solely on appreciation for your financial gain is a gamble. Housing markets can stagnate or even decline, as seen during the 2008 financial crisis. If your home's value doesn't appreciate as expected, or worse, depreciates, you could end up underwater on your mortgage, owing more than the home is worth. This makes selling difficult and can trap you in the property. A smart homeowner bases their financial planning on conservative appreciation estimates, or better yet, focuses on the tangible equity built. This is perhaps the biggest and most overarching mistake: not doing a comprehensive, personalized rent versus buy calculation. Many people rely on intuition, anecdotes, or general rules of thumb. But your financial situation, lifestyle, and local housing market are unique. Failing to meticulously crunch the numbers for your specific circumstances means you're flying blind. This includes not just the upfront costs, but also projecting future expenses, potential appreciation, and the opportunity cost of your capital over a realistic time horizon. This is where most people get it wrong. A true rent versus buy calculation involves more than just comparing your monthly rent to a hypothetical mortgage payment. It needs to account for all the costs we've discussed: property taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOA fees, closing costs, and the opportunity cost of your down payment. You also need to consider your time horizon. Are you staying 5 years? 10? The longer you plan to stay, the more likely buying becomes financially advantageous, as transaction costs are amortized over a longer period. There are many online calculators that can help, but you need to feed them accurate, personalized data. So, what's the big aha moment? It's this: there is no universal better choice between renting and buying. Neither option is inherently superior. The financially sound decision depends entirely on your individual circumstances, your financial goals, your lifestyle, and your local market. For some, the flexibility and lower upfront costs of renting make it the smarter choice, allowing them to invest more and build wealth elsewhere. For others, the stability, forced savings, and potential long-term wealth building of homeownership is ideal. The mistake isn't choosing one, it's choosing blindly. Renting often makes more financial sense if you plan to move within 5 years, have limited savings for a down payment and closing costs, prefer flexibility over stability, or live in a market where housing prices are exorbitant compared to rents. It also allows you to avoid the risks of a declining housing market and the responsibilities of maintenance. For those early in their careers or prioritizing travel and experiences, renting can free up significant capital and mental energy. It's a strategic choice, not a default option. Conversely, buying generally makes more financial sense if you plan to stay in the same location for 5 years or more, have a stable income and a healthy emergency fund, desire stability and control over your living space, and believe in the long-term appreciation of your local housing market. Homeownership can be a powerful wealth-building tool through forced savings, paying down principal, and potential appreciation, but only if you enter the market wisely and are prepared for the full responsibilities it entails. It's a marathon, not a sprint. A useful rule of thumb, though not the full calculation, is the rent-to-buy ratio. You can calculate this by dividing the average annual rent for a property by its purchase price. A lower ratio, e.g., below 20, generally suggests that buying might be more favorable in that market. A higher ratio, e.g., above 20 to 25, might suggest renting is financially smarter. For example, if a home costs $300,000 and rents for $1,500 a month, $18,000 annually, the ratio is 18, suggesting buying might be better. This is a quick heuristic, not a definitive answer. While financial numbers are critical, it's also important to acknowledge personal values. Some people place a high value on the sense of stability, community, and ability to personalize a home that ownership provides, even if the pure financial returns aren't always superior. Others prioritize the freedom and lack of responsibility that renting offers. Neither perspective is wrong. The aha moment includes recognizing that your personal values must align with your financial capabilities for either choice to truly bring you satisfaction and long-term well-being. This balance is key. Let's also briefly touch on inflation, which plays a subtle but significant role. Rent typically increases with inflation over time. When you buy, your principal and interest payment on a fixed-rate mortgage remains the same for 15 or 30 years, meaning inflation erodes the real value of your future payments. This can be a huge advantage for homeowners over the long term, as their housing costs become a smaller percentage of their inflated income. However, property taxes and insurance premiums are not fixed and will increase over time, impacting this benefit. Now, equipped with a deeper understanding, let's revisit the rent is dead money myth one last time. We've seen that renting comes with its own costs, but also distinct benefits like flexibility and freed-up capital. And buying, while building equity, comes with substantial hidden expenses, upfront costs, market risks, and demands significant financial preparedness. So, is rent truly dead money? Only if you view it in isolation, ignoring the full spectrum of financial and lifestyle trade-offs. It's a transaction for a service, not a condemnation of your financial choices. The power lies in informed choice. Sarah and Ben, realizing the complexity, decided to slow down. They used online calculators, created detailed spreadsheets, and even spoke with a non-commissioned financial advisor. They realized that while they loved the idea of a home, their career plans in the next 3 years made renting a more financially sensible and flexible option for now. This didn't mean giving up on the dream, it meant deferring it until their personal and financial situations aligned perfectly. They shifted from emotional longing to strategic planning. So, how do you apply this? First, assess your time horizon. Honestly ask yourself, how long do I realistically plan to live in one location? If it's less than 5 years, renting almost always wins due to the high transaction costs of buying and selling. If it's 5 to 10 years, the scales start to balance, and a detailed calculation is crucial. Beyond 10 years, buying typically becomes more financially advantageous, given market stability and consistent equity building. Be brutally honest with your projection, accounting for potential job changes, family growth, or lifestyle shifts. Second, meticulously calculate all costs for both renting and buying. For renting, go beyond base rent and include utilities, renter's insurance, and estimated moving costs over your planned tenure. For buying, get real estimates for a down payment, closing costs, mortgage principal and interest, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, estimated maintenance, 1 to 4% of home value annually, and potential HOA fees. Don't forget the opportunity cost. What could your down payment earn if invested elsewhere? A thorough comparison is your shield against financial blunders. Third, conduct a brutally honest assessment of your current financial health. Do you have a stable income? A substantial emergency fund of 3 to 6 months' living expenses? What is your credit score? Can you comfortably afford the down payment and closing costs without depleting your savings? Homeownership is a significant financial commitment that demands a strong financial foundation. If you're stretching yourself thin just to afford the purchase, you're setting yourself up for stress and potential financial hardship down the line. Be realistic, not aspirational, with your budget. Fourth, dive deep into your local housing market. What are current rental prices versus home values? What are the trends in property appreciation? Are interest rates rising or falling? Research local property tax rates and typical homeowners' insurance costs. Talk to local real estate agents and mortgage brokers, but remember they have a vested interest in a transaction. Seek out independent financial advice if possible. Understanding the specific dynamics of your area is paramount, as national trends don't always reflect local realities. Fifth and finally, consider your lifestyle and personal preferences. Do you crave stability and the ability to customize your living space, or do you value flexibility, minimal responsibility, and the freedom to move easily? Are you handy and enjoy home improvement projects, or would you rather call a landlord for repairs? Your housing choice should enhance your life, not become a source of constant stress. This subjective element is often overlooked but is just as crucial as the financial calculations in determining long-term satisfaction. After weighing these factors, Sarah and Ben realized that buying now would mean emptying their savings, taking on a large mortgage with rising interest rates, and potentially having to sell within a few years due to Ben's job prospects in another city. Instead, they decided to continue renting, put the money they would have spent on a down payment into a diversified investment portfolio, and build up a larger emergency fund. Their goal is to revisit the decision in 3 to 5 years when their career paths are clearer and they have a more substantial financial cushion. They now feel empowered, not deprived. Remember, the decision to rent or buy isn't a one-time, irreversible choice. It's a dynamic financial strategy that should be re-evaluated as your life circumstances and market conditions change. The biggest mistake is thinking there's a magic bullet or a single right answer for everyone, all the time. By understanding these 10 costly mistakes and applying a thoughtful, analytical approach, you can navigate this complex decision with confidence, ensuring your housing choices contribute positively to your overall financial well-being and life satisfaction. Ultimately, the goal isn't to become a homeowner or a perpetual renter, it's to become a financially informed individual who makes choices aligned with their unique situation. Don't let societal pressure, emotional urges, or incomplete information lead you down a costly path. Arm yourself with knowledge, crunch your numbers, and choose the path that empowers your financial future. The smartest decision is always the one that makes sense for you, right now, and for your foreseeable future. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe for more financial insights.